Hey guys, Dakk O'Neil here for Checkers or Wreckers. Gonna do a quick video on how to pass the leader at Daytona in the Fix series. I know that there's a lot of consternation about that, so I'm gonna show you a few things. I promise you we will get into video clips very quickly, but I just want to go over a few key concepts. The first one's gonna be gap management. Specifically, what we're referring to is the distance between cars in terms of being able to get a run and how you manage that both in the lead and as the car behind. We're also going to be talking about timing, positioning, when you need to be making your run. Most runs that fail by the end of the turn are because they were initiated at the wrong point. We're also going to be talking about opportunities on how to pass the leader. The biggest one is going to be your restarts, and I'll show you both how to pass and how to defend, as well as green flag passes. They're out there for the taking, and a lot of people aren't executing. So I just want to make sure that you watch a couple examples, and hopefully your races will go better. Okay guys, let's talk about restarts. As the leader, there are a few things you want to do and some things you do not want to do. One, you never want to have a big gap on the guy behind you. There's either one of two ways you can play this. You have to have a huge gap, so much so that they are not going to catch you until you enter turn 3, or you have to have a small enough gap that nobody is able to get enough of a run in order to pass you. This time I made a mistake. I let that guy lay off of me too much. I should have actually slowed down until the field caught up to me so that we were nice and tight. That's a huge disadvantage because I've given him the run. If he has about 0.3 to 0.4 seconds after the start-finish line, he will blow past you. Now you can try to block, and I've seen some people do that, and I think it's dangerous and stupid. It was my fault that I made that mistake, and now he's going to cleanly pass me on the lead. Sadly, this is the last lap, so it was a one-lap shootout, and I got screwed, but it was my fault for letting him pull the gap. Never allow the car behind you to lay off of you. Okay guys, now this is an example of how to pass the leader. You want to be ideally within either 0.3 to 0.4 seconds. Sometimes you can do it with 0.2 seconds, depending on the line that they take. But here, let's watch it play out. This is the first lap of the race. I started in P2. I let him get the perfect gap that I wanted right on the start, because remember, I can make it so that nobody can pass me on the outside, and I can make sure that my gap is absolutely perfect. So as we come into the turn here, now I have the run that I need. Go to the outside, and if the other car comes behind you, it does help, but it actually wouldn't have mattered. I cleanly make the pass here, and I end up holding this for 27 laps, and I believe the guy behind me wrecks me on the last lap, so I don't win the race. That was really disappointing, but it just shows you that as the leader, you cannot allow that person behind you to have that kind of run on you, because you're done. There's no way to defend that short of blocking me and chopping me off, in which case, if you do that, I'm probably just going to keep my foot in it and end both of our races, because that's not racing. I mean, defending is different than blocking. If you're just slightly moving up there and I have to change my line to try to pull under you, fine, but if you do it at the last second to actually block, that's pretty dangerous. So as you can see, that's one of the ways you can get around the leader at the beginning. Same race. Here I'm going to restart with the lead, and I'll show you how to keep the lead on the restart. So the trick here is to make sure that that car behind you can't pull a big gap, because then they can't get a decent run. In fact, typically when I'm doing this, I let it hit the rev limiter in second for just a fraction of a second to slow me down a little bit. That way, if they are getting a run, it's not going to be enough for them to actually clear me. You can see that 15 is getting a run on me, but either he backs out of it or he's not able to complete it. So now at this point, as they go to the outside, he's not going to be able to clear me by the end of the corner. And it was because I made him make a decision by having my car where it was. He would have had to pull out of the draft earlier than he wanted to in the mid-corner, and you have to use as much draft as you can coming off the corner exit in order to clear the leader. So that was how that works there. Okay guys, in this example, I set up this pass about a lap earlier than when it happened. I was running in third here, and I have the guy on my outside. As you can see, we're going into turn 3 at Daytona. I have to create a gap between myself and the guys in front in order to make the pass. So watch how this works. Okay, now this is perfect. At this point, I have about a 0.2 to 0.3 second gap to them, and I let it run out a little bit more. And now from this point on, from pit road on, I am full throttle in 5th gear. At this point, my rev lights are completely going insane. I've shifted up to 6th, and now my run is great. As you can see, I easily make the pass and complete it before the end of the straight. If you don't do it before you start into the turn, you're not going to finish. That's how it works. It's all about gap management. That was a pretty extreme example there because I was able to pull a big gap. Sometimes that just won't be possible, depending on which what the cars around you are doing. So you need to be cognizant of who's on your outside. Do you have space to make it work? And you have to pull it at just the right moment. So there you could see that you can go from from 3rd to 1st legitimately if you have the space. A lot of times if you're pack racing, you may not have as much space. So if you're the 2nd place car, you need to do everything you can to create a little gap there. Typically, the guy on the outside is so focused on getting past the leader that they won't drop down. And if they do, that's the risk you take to try to make it. But that's one example. Okay, guys, here's example number 2. I am in 2nd place, and I notice that I have the perfect situation for this. As you can see, the outside is completely clear. The guy behind me is a little bit backed off, so I know that he's not going to immediately help the leader. So I identify this as a passing opportunity. So what should I do here? I'm going to actually scrub a little bit of speed here in the tri-oval. I'm just going to get off the gas a little bit and let him gap. Okay, I'm going to go a little low there so that I keep up my momentum, but I've lost some ground to him. Now I have the perfect gap. At this point, my revs are full in 5th gear. I shift into 6th, go to the outside, and because I had that perfect situation where he wasn't getting help, I've easily cleared him before the corner. I come down at the line, and I'm clear. That's how you have to do it. It's a very delicate situation, though, because if you do it wrong or if you pull it late, you're going to wreck. So that is how you pass the leader here. That's another textbook example. You just have to see when the situation's right. Now, as the leader, I'm being helped because as long as that guy, number 1, runs on the outside of me, the other guy can't do the same thing. And number 1 can never have that kind of run on the straight just out there by himself. Okay, guys, so here, this example's a little bit different. I was practicing for a last lap pass because we were all running in a pack of 4 cars. So I backed way off here. And I wanted to see if I could beat them at the line. So from about mid-straight on, I am full throttle, and I'm not going to lift. So take a look and see what happens here. Okay, by being in their draft and not lifting, I'm just being sucked up at an absolutely astounding rate. Now here I'm shifting into 6th because I'm flying, and I'm staying in 6th until about mid-tri-oval. I've now pulled it back into 5th, so I would have won that if that was the last lap. And now I've actually cleared him, so I end up going over and completing the pass for the lead. So it's real important. You will never, ever, ever pass the leader in clean air on the outside in a turn. But you have to completely set it up so that you have the right run coming out of the turn at the right time. Okay, guys, I'm running in 3rd place here. I identify another opportunity. As you can see, there's nobody to my outside. Well, the 13's there, but he's not going to be there by the time I get my run. So I see that there's a gap now to the people in front of me. I'm going to keep my foot in it completely. Get up to, at this point, I'm probably going to be shifting at 6 right there. Pull to the outside, stay in their wake as long as I can. And now I'm going to pass 2 cars in 1 throw. And not just that, because they weren't running very tight, I'm going to pass them pretty easily before the corner. So I have them completely cleared, and I've gone from 3rd to 1st. That's a textbook pass here. I go on to win this race. Okay, guys, let me set up this scenario for you. Maybe you found yourself here. You restarted a little bit further back than you wanted, and you joined a group of guys that just aren't catching the lead pack, so you're not having a chance to race for the win right now. You know that you have to get past them. And that's it. That car there is acting just like a lead car because it's very difficult to pass. So I set the pass up here. I back off, and I decide that now is going to be the time. I don't have anyone on my outside. I'm now full revs, full throttle into 5th, and you'll see whenever my car fires here that it's going to shift into 6th. And then I time this perfectly to come out of the turn, and I get a little bit of help from 6 because he wants to go places too. So he gets behind me. I easily clear both of those cars before the turn there, and now I'm in a position to make sure that we get to the front by holding a rock steady line and making sure that if everybody behind me drafts correctly, that we get there. You can see the difference sometimes between getting there and not getting there, and it's having that lead car take a rock steady line so that everyone else can either push you with their nose or stay tucked in with you, and they're not afraid that you're going to end up all over the place. So that's the key. And you can see we had been going 15 or so laps, and we made no progress on those guys. I get in front, I hold the line steady, all of a sudden we have a run and we're right up there. So that's the key. If you get stuck in traffic, you're going to have to use the same moves that you'd use to get around the leader to get to the front. Now this is going to be a how not to pass the leader video. So George gets an excellent run out on me here, coming out of the corner, which is exactly the same. You can almost, the travel makes it harder, but you could make this pass on the front stretch in some cases. He just had to be a little more patient. As you can see, he wasn't clear of me and he came down. If he held that for maybe another 5 feet, 10 feet, he probably would have been clear of me, because he's going to get back onto the flat part where he's going to pick up speed. So just really important. Listen to your spotters. If you don't think you're clear, don't try it. Okay, guys, now this is where I realize I have an opportunity to pass the leader just based on where everybody else is in this pack. So I make a gap with Ryan here. I go ahead and floor it from this point out. I'm in 5th. My revs are starting to go. I'm up into 6th right here. I pull to the outside. Okay? I am actually going to make this pass, but I'm going to screw it up too. At this point, right here, I'm entirely clear of his car. However, he's from Australia, so I wanted to give it an extra half a second because of netcode. I didn't want to take him out, and I ended up taking him out because by the time we got to the corner, I wasn't clear of him. The second you know that you're clear, you have to pull down. Otherwise, this is what happens. So I feel terrible about that incident. Was not at all what anybody wanted there. But I did make the run successfully. I just didn't pull off the pass cleanly. So just one more time, we're going to take a look at that. And we're going to look at it from a rear chase. You can see here that I'm up here, and just before we get to that line, right about there, I'm completely clear of him. My spotter says clear, and I don't pull down immediately because, like I said, he's from another continent. So I waited that extra half a second, and when I did pull down, I wasn't clear of him anymore. I got him right in the nose. So really, you got to work on that. You got to make sure that you know what you're going to do there, but the run does work if you do it correctly. That was one of the worst incidents I had that I was responsible for, and I felt terrible about it. There's nothing worse than wrecking the leader. So sorry about that, Ryan, if you're watching. This is a how not to pass the leader. Watch the inside car. He goes under the line, okay, and then puts us all in a very dangerous situation. So the bottom line is, don't ever do that. That allows the 9 car to get past me because I am so terrified about the other car that I really think that 9 probably doesn't completely clear me by the corner if the other car doesn't do that. So this is one of those things that if you go under the line, you're a douche. You need to be protested. You probably need to be suspended from iRacing. There's no reason to do this. This leads to a crash in turn 3. And everyone behind us knows it too. So now all the other cars have backed off. Number 5 has to take a defensive line against the wall and just pray for the best. And I'm not going to let him back up because I try not to let him back up. I would have liked to keep him there, but I'm not willing to take the 4X. But certainly here, I mean, I'm not letting him up, period. So just really be cognizant of that. I mean, we're racers. We're trying to have a code here, and there's no reason that anyone should ever go to the inside like that. It's just not in the spirit of racing, and you're a complete total douchebag if you do that. Okay, so I hope that was helpful for you guys. I want to dispel the myth that it is a one-lane track and that the bottom car always wins. It is certainly difficult to pass. It depends on the number of factors. The traffic around you, gap management's key, and everything else. But really, you can pass at Daytona. You can pass good cars and good people at Daytona, and it really shows your skill. So I hope that you have fun out there, And as always, this is Dakk O'Neil for Checkers or Wreckers. Keep your foot in it. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, you can click like in the bottom. We also love to hear your comments. You can subscribe for more with the link on the left here. And I also have additional IndyCar action, Georgie's Corner, and some of the other leagues I run. So until next time, I'll catch you on the track, and Checkers or Wreckers, keep your foot in it.